Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 2 of A-level math for Pearson Edexcel of this May-June series of the unseen papers. Anyways, with that being said, let's move on to the questions that we have. So first we have question number 1, obviously. Now, Adina is saving money to buy a new computer. Good. Now she saves £5 in week 1 and $5.25 in week 2. Okay? And $5.50 in week 3. Now, can we see something that's happening here already? Maybe not yet, but let's see what do we have in the near when we write everything down in order. So on until she has enough money in total to buy the computer. So she wants to buy a computer at the end. Now, she decides to model her savings using either an arithmetic series or a geometric series. So we have two options, either this or this. Now for part 1, let's see what do we have. State with reason whether an arithmetic series or a geometric series should be used. Now pretty easy. So the reason is, if you have a look in week 1, she saved £5. In week 2, she saved 5.25. In week 3, she saves 5.50. And so on. Right. Now, by observation, you can see that every term is increasing by a constant amount. And that amount was called the common difference is 0.25. Okay. So the answer will be, it should be an arithmetic series in this case. So AES will be the answer. And because you can say, because we have a common difference, you can say that of equal to 0.25, or you can say that every term is increasing by the same amount, which is 0.25 pounds for every week. So that is the reason behind why it should be an AS series. Now for part 2, we have to write down an expression in terms of n for the amount in pounds saved in n week. So pretty easy. Since we know we're going to use an AS series, let's write down the main formula here that we know for the nth term. Has to be what? Has to be. So usually this is given to you on your list of formula. So the nth term is, so for an AR series is A plus n minus 1 times d. Now, we know that the first term A is given to you by 5. So replace nth term will be 5 plus, and we don't know for the nth week, so n minus 1, and d is 0.25 for the common difference. Now let's simplify. That will be what? So 5 minus 0.25 will be 4.75, and then plus 0.25 times n. Sorry, this is extra here. So this is the equation that we have for the nth term of this progression. That is part A of the question. Now for part B, we have been given this information. So given that the computer Adina wants to buy costs this much, so this is the cost, or this is the amount that she wants to save to buy this computer. So the sum of all the money that she wants to have needs to be at least this much for her to be able to buy this. So that's the main idea behind. But let's see what is the main question. Right? So find the number of weeks, so find the value of n. It will take Adina to save enough money to buy the computer. So exactly this. So we can simply solve first. Let's see, what is the value of n so that the sum of the amount she saved is equal to 350. We can do this first, no big deal. We can solve this equation first. Now, what is Sn? This is given to you as well on the list. So let's have a look. Sn is equal to half times n, that would be 2a, plus n minus 1 times d. So this is the formula we have to use to replace in the main equation. So let's do that. That'd be half, and we don't know, okay? Then we have 2a. 2a is 5. A is 5, sorry. A is 5 plus n minus 1. So n minus 1, we don't know n. And d is 0.25 equal to 350. Now let's try to solve this one by one. Let's see what happens. So first thing we can do is we can just leave this for now. That'll be 2 times 5 is 10. That'll be plus 0.25n minus 0.25. That'll be 350. Now here we have a 2. We can just multiply area by 2 to remove this 2. You will have n here. That'll be 10 plus 0.25n minus 0.25 equal to 700, because 350 times 2, that will be 700. The next step, let's try to expand. So you have n here. So 10 minus this should give you 9.75 plus 0.25n equal to 700. Okay, so let's try to expand. You have 9.75 n plus 0.25 n square has to be 700. Now let's see, let's send everything to one side first. You will have 0.25 n square, then we have plus 9.75 n minus 700 is equal to 0. Now let's try something. Let's divide everything by let's say 25, because why not? Let's try. So 0.25 divided by 25, that should be 0.01 n square plus 9.75 divided by 25, that should be 0.39, and minus 700 divided by 25, that should be 28, equal to 0. Now again, this is kind of hard to work with, so what can we do is let's multiply everyone by 100. You will have n square plus 39, this is n here, I forgot the n here, minus, what is 28 times 100? That will be 2800. Now you can see clearly down we have a quadratic equation for the value of n. Now how would you find that value of n? So step by step, we can always use the formula, right? So n has to be minus b plus minus, we have b squared minus 4 times a times c. That will be this value right here, 12,721. And then everything divided by 2a, that will be 2. So obviously n is the number of terms. It can only be a positive value. So let's choose the positive value. So minus 39 plus root of 12721 divided by 2. That will be 36.89. Now again, as you can see, n has to be equal to 36.89 so that Adina can save 350. However, n is the number of weeks. It cannot be decimal place. We can either choose 36 or n equal to 37. So by trying those two values, you can clearly see that if you choose 36, it will be less than the required amount. So because of that, you will have to choose this one. Because as you can see also here, the condition needs to be at least or more or equal to this. Because of that, we have to choose more than this. You will have this, right? So n has to be 37, which means that Adina has to save for 37 weeks to have the amount to buy the computer. And that is your question number 1. Okay, so let's move on to question number 2. So here we do have a curve, as you can see, y equal to 4 power x. Now, a copy of the same curve is given to you on the next page. Okay, so question number 1, part A. So on this diagram, we need to sketch the curve with the equation y equal to 2 power x. Now, usually by experience, or if you learn about the topic of exponential graphs, you do know that the shape of this graph will be something like this, right? Now, also we have to take into account whenever we draw a exponential curve, we also have an asymptote, and it is always the value at the end. Here we don't have anything, which means y equal to 0 will be the asymptote, just like this one, right? Asymptote means a line where your curve will never touch. In this case, it will be a horizontal line, which is the x-axis. This one will never touch. So same concepts apply here. Our graph will have the same shape. Also, we'll have a asymptote, but we have to know where does it pass. Does it go above this one? Below? Let's find out. So one by one, in this case, what can we do is we can first make a table of values. As always, If you don't know the shape, you can always begin with a table of values. So here we have the x values and the corresponding y values. So let's begin with some negative values, because here we have the negative sides, right? So let's try to begin with the value of, let's say, sorry, -2, -1, 0, and 1 and 2. Why not? 5 values. So 1x equal to -2, that was what? So that will be 2 power -2, that should be 0.25. 2 power -1, that will be 0.5. And this will be 1, and this will be 2 and 4. Now moving on, we can see that this will be this curve, right? So let's compare with this one. How about 4 power x? What are the y values of this one? So the reason why, again, why I'm doing this is because I want to know, does this curve right here, does it go above this one, below? So I just want to know so I can draw the curve accurately to get my full marks, right? So let's do that. That'd be 4 power -2. That will be 0.0625. 4 power -1. That will be 0.25. That will be 1. And 4 power 1 will be 4, and that will be 16. Now, as you can see by observation, this is the curve, this, right? So as you can see, on the negative values of x, this curve is above this one. The value is bigger than this one. But on the positive value, this one is above this one. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here is that on the negative values of x, the graph of y equal to 2 power x will be above this one. So let me try my best to draw this smoothly. Obviously, you will be using a pencil for this one. So it needs to be above this one. Should be above this one. Something like this. Approaching the x-axis, but never touches the x-axis. Now, for the positive value of x, you can see this one, the values are less than the other one. So it has to be going this way, but it has to be below the initial curve. It cannot be above for the right shape. So that will be something like this. Label this as y equal to 2 power x. That will be your answer for part 1 of the question. Now for part 2, here we have to draw y equal to 4 power x minus 6. So pretty easy. The idea is that here we have this graph already given to you. Now the minus 6 means we have to move the graph by minus 6 below, downwards by 6 units. So this point is what? It is the point 1, right? As you can see here, 1, 1, right? Now moving this downwards by 6 will be 6. 1 minus 6 will be minus 5. Should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that will be 1 moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By 6 units, it will come down to minus 5 because 1 minus 6 will be minus 5. Okay. Now the shape has to be the same shape as this one. So try your best to make it the same shape. Now we have to show something is that we understand that as always exponential curve will have what? Will have a asymptote as we have seen before, and the value here will be minus 6, the value at the end. So let's try to draw this line here to show that we understand that the curve will again have an asymptote at this point. So let's try to kind of label a line here, y equal to minus 6. Okay, now let's use a different color for this one. I think I will use purple, and try your best to make this look the same as the initial curve. So it should be this one, should be going up, something like this, right? Something like this. That will be y equal to 4 power x minus 6. Okay, now this one is not perfect, it's not very smooth, but you get the idea. You will be drawing with a pencil and make it as smooth as possible. Now following up, as you can see, we have to label clearly the coordinates of any points of intersection with the axis. As you can see here, we have 1, minus 5, and what is this point? Let's find out. This point is on the x-axis, and as you guys know, On the x-axis, the value of y is 0, that will be 0. This will be this, and you will have 4 power x will be the value of 6. So in this case, you can apply ln on both sides, obviously. That will be what? So ln or log on both sides, same thing. Let's do log. Log of 4 power x, that will be log of 6. You can send this over here, that will be x, and that will be log of 6 over log of 4. Now again, you can always simplify this by using the laws of logarithms, but again, there's no need right now. We just need to show this is the exact value of this, and we are okay. Now let's move on to the next question. The curve this meets the curve this at the point P. So what does it mean? It means that if you observe while we were drawing this curve, right, if you keep going, it will eventually meet this curve at the point P. So we have to find this point of intersection. So whenever we have to find a point of intersection, or when you see meet, cuts, or intersect, we have to solve a simultaneous equation. So that will be equation number 1, equation number 2. So let's solve. So here we have y and y. Let's replace them in each other. You will have on one side is 2x, and this will have 4 power x minus 6. Now by observation, we can see that 4 power x is what? It is same thing as 2 power 2x, which is the same as 2 power x power 2 by the laws of indices. So this is same thing as saying, let's send this over here. You will have 2 power x square minus 2 power x minus 6 is 0. Now, if this is hard for you to see the equation that we are dealing with, let's do something. Let's say, let u equal to 2 power x. Let's see what you have. You will have u square minus u minus 6. And now what is this equation? You will see this is a simple quadratic equation. We can simplify, we can factorize, right? That will be u times u. And 6 is what? 6 is 1 times 6, and it can also be 3 times 2. So 3 times 2. To get minus 1u, we have to have minus 3 and plus 2. So u can be the value of 3 and u can be the value of minus 2. But now again, we want to find the value of x, not u, right? So replace back, you will have, so 2 power x will be 3. So let's apply log on both sides. So log of 2, log of 3. So send x over here. So x have to be log of 3 over log of 2. Now, I want to show you guys how to simplify this because I think it will be important to find the simplified version of the points, right? So let's try this. For example, here we have what? We have log. Log is what? Log is log to the base of 10, if that makes sense, right? So here we have log to the base of 10, 3, divide by log to the base of 10, 2. Now my idea is I want to simplify this, right? So what I can do is by using the laws of logarithms, I can change the base. I can either choose the base of 2 or the base of 3, because here we have 3 or 2. But then in this case, I just want to eliminate the denominator. So I will choose a new base of 2. Why not? That will be what? That will be log, LG, log to the base of 2, 3, log to the base of 2, 2. In a way, you just kind of cancel out the log to the base of 10. So this will cancel out. So eventually your answer will be log to the base of 2, 3. So this and this are the same thing. You can also verify using your calculator. That will be the same thing. That will be base of 2, 3. That will be your x value for the point. Now, how about this one? You can check because you will see you will have 2 power x is equal to minus 2. But now when you will take log on both sides, right, log of a negative value will not be possible. It will be rejected. That's the main idea for the other point. Now for this one, we have to find the corresponding y value. Replacing this one, right? So y will be 2, x is log 2 and 3. Now this one will be cancelled out to 1, so y will be 3. So now again, well, we have seen this before. We have seen this in a thing in ln. So whenever we used to have exponential ln of x, we know that was equal to, cancel out, that was x. Same idea here, because here we have log to the base of e. That is, so we know that ln is log to the base of e. So same thing here. Here we have 2 log to the base of the same value here, should cancel out, give you the value on the inside 3. So the point P will be log base of 2, 3, and that should be 3 as your value of y. And that will be your question number 2. Let's move on to question number 3. So here we have to prove for all single digit prime numbers p, it is a multiple of 10. So now again, we can just list what are these single prime digit numbers that we know. So we know that it could be p, could be 2, could be 3, 5, 7. So these are the prime numbers that we know, which are single digits. So let's try them one by one. So when p is equal to what? 2, 3, 5, and 7. Find the corresponding values of p cubed plus p. Let's see what do we have. So p cubed, sorry, 2 cubed plus 2. That will be 10. Now 3 cubed plus 3, that should be 30. 5 cubed plus 5, that should be 130. And 7 cubed plus 7, that should be 350. Now as you can clearly see, all these numbers, they are multiples of 10 because they are all divisible by 10. So this is confirmed, proved for part 1. Now for part 2, we have to show using algebra that for n it is a natural number. This equation, it is not a multiple of 3. Right, so let's find out. So let's try something. We can first try to simplify this equation. Now what is this? This is simply as n plus 1 times n plus 1 square. This is of course minus this one. Now you will have n plus 1 times n square plus 2n plus 1 minus n cube. That will be n cube plus 2n square plus n square plus 2n plus 1 minus n cube. Simplify, this will cancel out, right? So you will have 3n square plus 3n plus 1. Now something we can do here is we can factorize the 3 here. You will have n square plus n plus 1. Now as you can see, n can be any natural number, right? We understand that this will give you a number which is a multiple of 3. Right, so now since we have this same thing plus 1, so it will not be a multiple of 3, not multiple of 3. So that's the main idea you have to show behind, that once you have this, you can show that 3 times this, n can be any natural number, because here we have 3 outside, it will always be divisible by 3. That's why it is a multiple of 3. Now because we have the same thing plus 1, it will not be a multiple of 3. That's the reasoning behind, and proved. And that will be your question number 3. Now let's move on to question number 4. So finding ascending powers of x up to and including the term in x power 3, the binomial expansion of this one. So step by step, this is pretty easy, right? So first term will be 13, choose 0, that will be first value here, and here we have x over 8. If this is 0, this will have to be 0, and that will be 13, plus 13, choose 1, 2, x over 8, that will be 1, and that should be 12. And here again, 13, choose 2, that should be 11, 8, 2, and finally 13, choose 3, that will be 10, and that will be 3. Because we have to stop at x power 3, because of that we start right here. Now simplify, that will be 1 times 2 power 13, that should be 8192, that will be 1 plus, that is 13, that will be 12, that will be 496, that will be x over 8 plus 13 choose 2, that will be 78, and 2 times, sorry, power 11, that should be 2048, and that will be x squared over 64, and finally 13 choose 3, that will be 286, 2 power 10, that should be 1024, and that will be x cubed over the value of 8 power 3, that should be 512. Now simplify one by one. Let's see what do we get. The first one is pretty easy. That will be 8192 plus, so we have 13 times 4096 divided by 8. That will be 6656x, and then we have 78 times 2048 times 1 over 64. That will be plus 2496 x squared, and then we have 286 times 1040 times 1 over 512. That will be plus 572 x cubed. Okay, so this will be the terms that we need to find for question part 1, which is the expansion of this binomial term until the value of x power 3. Now let's move on to part B. So we have to use the answer from part 1 to find the approximation for this. Now the main idea here is we have to compare this and this. For example, if you look at this, we have same thing as 2 plus x over 8 power 13. Now here we have the same power and the inside value is this, and here we have the inside value is this. So just by comparison you can see that 2 plus x over 8 is equal to 2.0125. So let's find the value of x. X will be what? So first thing minus 2, 2.0125 minus 2, and then times 8. So x will be the value of 0.1. So using this value of x, let's find the estimation for this term. So pretty easy. Because we're using this expansion, now we know that x have to be 0.1. So let's do this. You will have 2.10125. This is equal to, using the value from part 1, that will be 8192 plus 6656 times x plus 2496 times x squared and plus 572 times x cubed. That will be what? 8192 plus 6656, and then we have plus 2496, that will be 0.1 square plus 572, 0.1 cube. That will be 8883.132. That will be the estimation to 3 decimal place, as you can see, for the value for this one. Now let's move on to the last question. So here we have to state with reason whether the answer from part B is an overestimate or an underestimate. As you can clearly see, it will be what? It will be an underestimate. Because you can say that 2 point this from part B was found by adding the, so 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4 terms of the expansion from part A, from A, was found by, let's add only here for it to make sense, because as you guys know, if you were to expand this, you have many more terms, right? And we only use the first 4 terms. Because of that, it will be an underestimate. And that will be your question number 4. Let's move on to question number 5. So here what do we have? We have a sketch of 2 graphs, C1 and C2. So C1 is this one and C2 is this one. Now we have a table of values for some points on the curve C1 shown below, with y values given to 3 decimal places as appropriate. Now, using the trapezium rule, for these values, we have to find the area bounded by these two and the curve. So pretty easy. How would you use that rule? So it is a formula we have to know. Let's do this. That will be what? Half. First thing is half. Now h is this value minus this. That will be 4 minus 2.5 divided by the number of intervals. That will be 6 intervals. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 intervals. And then multiply by the first value here. That will be 5.453. Plus the last value, that will be 5, and plus 2 times the sum of the middle values. That will be 7.764 plus 9.375 and on till the value over here, 7.626. That will be the trapezium rule to find the area or estimate for the area for this part of the graph. So let's do one by one. So we have what? We have 4 minus 2.5 divided by 6. That will be 0.5 times 0.25. And here we have 5.453 plus 5. That will be 10.453 plus, here we have 2. And what is the value on the inside? That will be 7.764 plus 9.375, 9.964, 9.367, 7.626. That will be 44.096. So this is the value on the inside. So we just have to equate that to solve this to find the estimate for the area. That will be 0.5 times 0.25 times. So here we have to have brackets. That will be 10.453 plus 2 times 44.096. That will give me 0.5 times 0.25 times. We have 10.453 plus 2 times 44.096. That will be 12.33, correct, to 2 decimal places. So this will be the estimation for the area by using the trapezium rule. Okay, so now the curve C2 have this equation. We have to first find this. So this is pretty easy, step by step. That will give you 1. So first thing first, add 1 to the power. That will become 5 over 2 divided by the same power minus 3x squared over 2 plus 9x plus c. That will be part B of the question. Now what else? So we have to find this, and then the region R shown is bounded by C1 and C2. So this is the region R. We have to use the answers from part A and part B to find to 1 decimal place and estimate for the area. So pretty easy. So how would you find the area? So by observation, it will be the area of this big thing, right, that we found from part A minus the area under the curve for C2. Now let's find the area for C2. That was limits of 4 and 2.5 for C2 dx. Now that will be what? So we have seen that it will be this. We just have to apply the limits. Let's see what happens. So first we have 4. So we have 4 power 2.5. That will be divided by, that will be what value? So 12. So let me write this down for you because I don't want you guys to be confused. Let me write this down as simply as I can. So at first we have to find the area for C2 between the limits of 4 and 2.5 with respect to dx, obviously. Now we have seen that this was found to be x 5 over 2. That was 2 over 5 minus 3 over 2 x2 plus 9x. That is 4 and 2.5. Now one by one, that will become what? 2 over 5. That will become 5 over 2 minus 3 over 2, 4 square plus 9 times 4. The minus, that will become 2 over 5, 2.5, 5 over 2 minus this value right here, square, and plus 9 times 2.5. So one by one, let's see what happens. So here we have 4 power 2.5 times 2 divided by 5. That will be 12.8. So, and then minus 4 power 2 times 3 divided by 2, that will be 24. And plus 36. Minus, here we have 2 power 5 power 2 power 5 times 2 divided by 5, that will be 3.9528. And then here we have minus 2.5 square times 3 divided by 2, that will be this value. And then finally plus 9 times 2.5, that will be 22.5. So simplify one by one to see what happens. So 12.8 minus 24 plus 36, that will be 24.8. And here we have 3.952 minus 9.375 plus 22.5, that should be 17.077. So minus, you will have what? 24.8 minus answer, that will give you 7.723. Okay, so this is the area below the curve C2, right? So this is the area that we have seen here. This is 7.723. Now to find the area of R, we take the whole thing, as we have seen from part A, was given to you by 12.33 minus 7.723. So 12.33 minus answer, that should give you 4.607. Now correct to one decimal place, as you have seen here. So your area have to be 4.6. That will be units square. Okay, that will be question number 5. Let's move on to question number 6. So a circle has equation this, all right, where k is a positive constant. That is something good to know. Now, given that the x-axis is a tangent to this circle, now we have to use this information to find the value of k. Now again, before we begin this question, we have to know what is the equation of a circle usually. It will look something like this, right? Which is x minus a, for example, square plus y minus b square equal to r square. Now where a, b is the center of the circle, and then r is the radius. So that's something we kind of have to know at the back of our mind before doing these questions. So the main idea is that let's try our best to express this same equation as this, so we can deduce those values for the center as well as the radius. So let's do this. So here we have x square minus 6x plus y square minus 8y plus k is equal to 0. Now, how can we express this as this? So we can try to complete squares, right? As you can see, let's look at this one first. So let's complete the squares. That will be let's first do one by one. So that will be x squared. That will be minus the value here. Let's leave this for now. So minus 6x. Now we have to add something, which is 6 divided by 2 square, and then minus the same value. That will be what? Minus 6 over 2 square. So again, this is for if you don't know how to complete square directly. So step by step of how we are supposed to complete the squares for this term. That will give you what? That will give you x here. Here we have minus. Here we have 3. Square will be outside. And this will be minus. So 6 over 2 is 3 square. That will be 9. So this will become this. Now what about this one? For this one, again, step by step, let's do this over here. That will become 1. So at first we have y squared plus 8y. Now we have to add something. That will become 8 over 2, so 8, the value 8 here, over 2 square. Now we have to minus the same value so we don't change the equation. Now to change that, that will become y here. Here we have plus, become plus, and the value inside will be 4. And here we have square. Then minus, that will become 16. So this will become plus y plus the value of 4 square minus 16, and then we have plus k have to be 0. Now let's try to rearrange, right? Because we need to find a way to express this in this form. That's the main thing we are trying to do right here. That will become x minus 3 square plus y. Now here we have plus. We are trying to make this become minus. So how can you do that? So we can write y minus 4 square outside, right? And then here we have minus 16 minus 9 plus k. That will become x minus 3 y minus 4 equal to k, so minus k plus 25. That's the main thing. Now by comparison, say here we used to have this, there we used to have this equal to r squared. Now the center was, based on that, based on the equation that we have known, the center was a and b. Now based on this, by comparison, you can see the center have to be 3, and the value here will be minus 4. This is the center of the circle. Now what about the radius? Compare. So radius, we know this is r squared, has to equal to 25 minus k. So the radius is equal to root of 25 minus k. Now we have to find this value of k. Now we have to use this information. Now the idea here is, if you draw something, you will understand this far better to see what's happening. So let's do that. So we have the y-axis and the x-axis. For example, the circle is a tangent to the x-axis. It means that the circle touches the x-axis at only one point. Right. Now the center is here, which is this value right here. It will be, as you can see, 3 minus 4. Let's label that. So 3 and minus 4. This will be the center of the circle. Now we have also seen, so this is 3 here, right? We have also seen that the radius is this value. So the radius is what? The radius is the distance between the center to the circumference. So this is the radius. Now we have seen that the radius is also equal to this value right here, which is, now again, it will not be negative for length. Length is a positive value. The radius is equal to 4, as we can also see according to the diagram. So by comparison, we know that this is also 4, so basically 25 minus this will give you 16, so k have to give you the value of 9. This is part 1 of the question. Then let's move on to part B. The circle meets the axis at these points, R, S, and T. Find the exact area of the triangle RST. Now, I would say the first thing we need to find the points. So let's do that. So as we can see, the equation of the circle is x minus 3 square plus y minus 4 square equal to the value of, so radius is 4 square, right? That will be r square, 4 square. Now we know that the circle meets the x-axis at this point, which is the point of x equal to 3. So when x equal to 3, we have to find the corresponding, so we need to find, what do we know? So we know that the value of y for this one was equal to 0, because that is on the x-axis. But now we have to find the other points for where it will meet the y-axis, because on the x-axis, that is the only point it will meet. So let's call this point the point R, for example. R will be 3, 0. Now what are the other points? So let's say on the y-axis. On the y-axis, what do we know? We know that the value of x have to be 0. Let's replace. You will have 0 minus 3 is minus 3 square. That will be 9. That will be y plus 4 square is equal to 16. So you will have y plus 4 square is 16 minus 9. That should be 7. So y plus 4 has to be root of 7, obviously, plus and minus, right? So y have to be minus 4 plus minus root of 7. So here, as you can see, we have two possible points. Let's choose. So SAS could be 0, minus 4 plus root of 7. And then the other one could be t, could be 0 and minus 4 minus root of 7. So we have three possible points here. Let me write this down. So the first point we have seen is R is on the x-axis. That was 3, 0. And then we have S, that will be 0 minus 4 plus root 7. And then T, we have 0 minus 4 minus root 7. Now, how would you find the area of such a triangle? There's a few ways. I think the easiest way is to use the formula directly, which is half the modulus of the first point is 3, 0. We have this one. And then we have this one. And then we have to end with the first point. So I think this is the easiest way. So you don't have to think much about how we are supposed to find the area. So let's multiply first in this direction. So here you will have half outside. Here we have 3 times this will become minus 12 plus this. Here we have the minus. Multiply in this direction. That will be, this one will be minus, this one is what? This one is minus 12. And then we have minus 3, again this one. Simplify, of course. That'll be half. That'll be minus 12 plus 3 root 7 plus 12 plus 3 root 7. That will go away. And you will have half the value of 6 root 7. And that will become 3 root 7 for the area, units square of the triangle. Okay, and that will be your question number 6. Okay, so let's move on to question number 7. So given that we have this equation here, we have to show this is equal to this. Now, something we can realize is that from this equation, as you can see, all the log have disappeared. So we have to kind of remove this on this one. Now, how can we do this? So let's see one by one. So I would say the first thing we can do is send all the log to one side, right? So here we can first try to simplify this. Here we can send this on top. You will have what? You have log 3, 2x minus 1 power 3, right? Send this over here, become minus log of base 3, 14x minus 25 have to be the value of 2. Now let's continue. We can always simplify these two. We have the same log, that will be log base 3. And by using the law of logarithms, because here we have minus, that will be what? 2x minus 1 minus become divide 14x minus 25 is equal to the value of 2. So simplify, that will give you what? 2x minus 1 power 3 over 14x minus 25 is equal to 3 power 2. So simplify, we can cross multiply. This will go up, it will be this value right here. It will be 9 14x minus 25. Now simplify. Now this one you can of course use the formula for binomial expansion. However, you can do this one by one if you want to. That will be what? 2x minus 1 times 2x minus 1 square. That will be 9 times 14. That will be 126x minus 9 times 25. That should be 225. Simplify, that will be what? 2x minus 1. That will be 4x squared minus 4x plus 1. That will be 126x minus 225. So 1 by 1, this times this, that will become 8x cubed minus 8x squared plus 2x. Then this time this will be minus 4x squared plus 4x minus 126x minus 225. So let's simplify. This will be the same thing here. That will be 8x cubed. Here we have minus 8 minus 4, that should be minus 12x squared. And here we have plus 6x minus 1. Now send this over here become minus 126 and plus 225 is 0. So 1 by 1. So 8 is 8 because that's the only term in x cubed. And what happens to this one? This is 12, doesn't change. So here we have plus 6 minus this, that will be minus 120 x, and then we have plus 224 is equal to 0. Now because everything is even here, we can try to divide by 2. Why not? Divide by 2. You will have 4x cubed minus 6x squared minus 60x plus 112 is 0. Now finally, because again everything is even, divide by 2 again, you will have 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 30x plus 56 equal to 0. Now guess what? This is same as this. So this is shown as required for part 1. Now let's move on to part B of the question. So here we have to show that minus 4 is a root of this cubic equation. Now root means we have to show that x is equal to minus 4. Right, so very easily we can use the remainder theorem to show that. So basically we can let f of x equal to the equation or the function. Now since we are told that x equal to minus 4 is a solution, it means that if you were to plug in the value of this in the function, it is supposed to give you 0. But let's check. So f this, let's see what happens. That will be 2 minus 4, 3. That will be minus 4 squared minus 30 minus 4 and plus 56. Sorry, we don't have this right now. We have to prove that. So let's see what happens. So minus 4 power 3, that should be. So 2 here, and we have minus 64 minus 3, that should be 16 plus 120 plus 56. Now 2 times minus 64 minus 3 times 16 plus 120 plus 56, that should be 0. So by showing that the remainder is 0 when dividing by x plus 4, or when putting the value of minus 4 in the equation, we have shown that x equal to minus 4 is one of the solution for that equation. That is part B of the question. Now for part C, we have to hence, so using that hence, we're using algebra as well. We have to solve this equation. So solve this equation. So solve means finding the values of x. Now, as we have seen, this equation is the same thing as this. So we can just solve this one to obtain the solutions. So let me find a fresh page here to solve this for you. So as we have seen, we know that f of x is equal to 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 30x plus 56. Right. Now we know that x plus 4 is a factor, right? Because we have seen that x equal to minus 4 is a solution. Now when you send this over here, so minus 4 send over here become plus 4. So x plus 4 is a factor of that function. Now to find the other factors, we have to perform long division. So let's do that. So here we have 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 30x plus 56. That will be x plus 4 over here. Okay. Now, first thing first, how can you make x become 2x cubed? You have to multiply by 2x squared. Right, then you'll have 2x cubed plus 8x squared. This will go away. Now minus 3 minus 8 will be minus 11x squared minus 30x plus 56. Now moving on, how can you make x become this? You have to multiply by minus 11x, right? So that will become minus 11x squared minus 44x. So simplify. This will go away, and this will be what? So minus 30 plus 44 is what? So minus 30 plus 44 will be 14. So 14 x plus 56. Now, how can you make x become 14x? You have to multiply by plus 14. So that will become 14x plus, so 4 times 14, that should be 56. So that is perfect because, as you can see, they both cancel out. It is supposed to give you 0 at the end because we know that it is a factor. So when you divide by a factor, the remainder will be 0. But now, we have a quotient. So it means that f of x can also be written as x plus 4 multiplied by 2x squared minus 11x plus 14. Right. Let's see what happens. That will become x plus 4 factorize, that is 2x, x, 14 is 7 times 2, right? So let's use that. So 7 here and 2 here. That is one of the options. Or we can use 2 here or 7 here. So it makes sense we use this one because, as you can see, this one will not be possible. We have to use this one. To get minus 11, we have to have minus 4 and minus 7. So we have seen that f of x is equal to x plus 4, 2x minus 7, and x minus 2. That will be the other way of writing f of x. Now we have to equate that to 0 to find the solution. So x can be minus 4, x can be 7 over 2, and x can be the value of 2. So these are the solutions for that question, and that is your question number 7. Okay, so let's move on to question number 8. So in this question, you have to show the stages of your working, and solely relying on the calculator will not be good for the answer. No worries, so let's try our best to show step by step of how we will be solving these questions. Now, part 1. For the value of theta between 0 and 360, we have the equation this. So giving you answers to one decimal place. So one by one, let's try to solve this. So we have 3 sine of theta plus 30 is equal to 7 cos of theta plus 30. Now, as we have seen before, whenever you have sine and cos in the same equation, we try to divide by cos. So divide by cos of the same angle. The reason is because when you divide sine by cos, you get tan. So 3 tan theta plus 30 degrees. That will be 7. So tan theta of plus 30, that should be 7 divided by 3. Now when tan is positive value, we know that it will be in the first quadrant. So AST is also in the third quadrant as well. This will be your angle directly, which is the angle of, let's call this, so this whole thing will be what? Let's call this y for now, and then this will be 180 plus y. Let's call this y, right? So basically this will become tan inverse of 7 over 3. So tan inverse, here we have to use degrees, so more degrees, and that will be tan inverse of 7 divided by 3. That will be 66.8. So that will be first value, and then the other one will be 180 plus 66 plus 8, that will be 246 plus 8. Okay, so let's solve. So theta will be what? 36.8 and 216.8 degrees. These will be the two values of theta correct to one decimal place. Okay, so that will be part 1 of the question. Now for part 2, we have to first show that the equation this can also be written as this. So step by step, let's first send everything to the left hand side. You will have what? 3 sine cube x minus 5 sine x plus 7 sine x cos x is equal to 0. Now because we have sine here, and sine here, what do? We can factorize the sine outside. You will have 3 sine squared x, then you have minus 5 plus 7 cos x. Right. Now because as you can see, we are trying to find an expression where we don't have any sine inside here. So we have to change this to cos. Now we know that sine this is equal to 1 minus cos square x. So you will have sine of x, that will become 3 minus 3 cos square x minus 5 plus 7 cos x equal to 0, obviously. Now let's try to solve. Let's see what happens. You have sine x, you have minus 3 cos square x plus 7 cos x, and then you will have 3 minus 5 will be minus 2 equal to 0. This is shown as required, where the value of a will be minus 3 and b will be 7 and c will be minus 2, as you can see. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So for part B, we have to hence. So hence means you have to use that one to solve the equation. So let's try to do that. So let me write this down again. We have seen that right now we have sine x, and it was minus 3 cos square x plus 7 cos x minus 2 has to be the value of 0. Now we have to solve this equation. Now again, as you can see here, we can just solve sine x is equal to 0. So x can be sine inverse of 0, that will be 0, 180 or 360 degrees. But again, here we are trying to find the answer in terms of radian, that will be 0, pi, and that will be the value of 2 pi. Okay, now that's the first thing we can do here. Now something we observe is that x is between the values of what? The condition, it is between the value of minus pi by 2 and pi over 2, which is minus 90 and then the value of 90 degrees. So if you were to look at the quadrants, it will be what? Will be 90 is here, minus 90 will be this one. So first and fourth quadrant. So that's the main idea behind. But either way, the only answer we can take here is what? It is this one, right? X can be 0 radians for one of them at least. It is between, so here we have equal sign as well. My apologies. So this is one of the answers that we can use. Now let's move forward for this one. As you can see here, we have minus 3 cos square x plus 7 cos x minus 2 have to be 0. Now let's rearrange this, because here we have negative values, and as always, we don't like to work with negative values. You will have, send this over here, you will have 3 cos square x minus 7 cos x plus 2 is equal to 0. Let's factorize to see what will happen. You will have 3 cos x, they will be 2 times 1. So to get minus 7, we have to have minus 6 and minus 1. So 3 cos x minus 1 will be 0, or this one will be minus 2 will be 0. As you can see here, we have cos x could be 2, but this will be invalid because we know the value of cos x can only be between minus 1 and 1 inclusive. It cannot be more than that, so this will not be good. Now for this one, cos x will be 1 over 3. Now when cos is positive, as we know, it will have to be in the first quadrant and also in the fourth quadrant. This will be x, and this will be 360 minus x. So let's do this. So x will be cos inverse of 1 over 3. So here we have to use radians, right? So let's use radians. So mode radians. Cos inverse 1 over 3. That will be x could be 1.23, or it could be 360 is 2 pi minus 1.23. That will be 5.05. Now, because we have a negative, as you can see, negative domain, we have to check. So let's write this down in decimal. So minus pi divided by 2, that should be minus 1.57, and this will be 1.57. So basically x has to be between those two. Now because here we have negative values, we have to try and see what are the possible values that we may have or not. So let's minus 2 pi from each of those answers. Let's see, well, what can we get? We have to know. That will be 1.23 minus 2 pi. That will give me minus 5.05, and then also we have 5.05 minus 2 pi. That will give me minus 1.23. Now, right now the possible values of x is equal to 1.23, 5.05, and also minus 1.23, and then minus 5.05. Okay, now according to the domain, as you can see, it can only be, this one is outside, this one is out, we can only have those two. So finally, the values of x can be what? X can be minus 1.23, 0, and 1.23. The 0 comes from this one, and the rest will be this one. And this will be your question number 8. Now let's move on to question number 9. Okay, so here we have a shape. So it shows a sketch of a square base, open top box. So on top it is open, but it has a square base. Okay, now the height of the box is h, and the base have edges of length L and L. Okay, good to know. Given that the volume of the box is this much, like how would you find the volume of the box? You will do length times width and times height. That will be L square h. That will be how you would find the volume of that box. But you know this is equal to 250,000 actually for the volume of that box. Now for part A, we have to show the external area, surface area S is given by this equation. So how would you find the area of that? So one by one, let's count. We have 1 here at the back, 2. So we have to find the surface area of the box. So in total we have 5 surfaces to find. Let's do one by one. So surface area S will be what? The base area will be L square plus this area will be what? Will be H times L times 2, because it will be front and back. And then this area will be same thing, H times L and times 2. So you will have L square plus 4HL. That is your value for S, surface area. Now again, we don't want to be using a few values here. As you can see, in the main equation, we don't have any L. There's no L. So we have to eliminate the values of L in this one. So let me write down the two things we have right now. So we have S is equal to L square plus 4HL. And then we have V is equal to the value of L square H, which is 25, this amount. So one thing we can do right now is, if you were to make L become subject here, for example, you will have what? So L square is equal to 25, this one, divided by H. So let's replace this first. So S can also be 25, and then 0,000 over H plus 4HL. Now following this, we can find the value of L as well. So what is the value of L? L will be root of the top value over the root of the bottom value. So root of 25, so it's 250,000, that will be 500. That will be 500 divided by root of H. So you will have S is equal to 25, so 250,000 over the value of H plus 4, that will be what? 4 times H, L is 500 over root of H. Now you have to simplify, right? So one by one, eventually you will have S is equal to 250,000 over the value of H. And what is 4 times 500? That should be 2,000. And of course, here we have what? Here we have H power 1 divided by H power half, right? Which will give you H power half, which is root of H. And this is shown as required. Okay, so the main idea is you have to use everything given to you to find the answers you need to find. Now moving on to part B of the question. So here we have to use differentiation to show S has a stationary value at the point S, where K is a rational constant to be found. So one by one, as you guys know, let's write this down, at the stationary value point, what do we know? We know that ds by dh have to be 0. So one by one, S is found to be this value right now. That'll be H, this one, and we know this is 2,000 H power half. So ds by dh, that will be what? Minus 250, be minus 2, and that will be plus 1,000 H minus half. So that will be this value right here over H square plus 1,000 over root of H. That will be ds by dh. Now we have to equate that to 0 because we know that the value of stationary point, this has to be 0. So one by one we can try to simplify this. Let me send this over here first. You will have 2, 3 over root of this is equal to 2, 3 over H square. Now simplify. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 goes away. And then I can send this over here. You will have H square over H half should be 25, so 250, sorry. Now what else can we do? We can simplify this. So H power 2 divided by H power half, it is the same thing as H power 2 minus 0.5. That will be H 1.5 is equal to 250. Okay, now 1.5 is 3 over 2. That's right, so 1.5 is 3 over 2. Now, if you want to find the value of H, we have to do something. We have to, for example, let me rewrite this. That will be H 3 over 2 is equal to 250. Now, for me to find the value of H, we have to apply something. So let's apply the power of 2 over 3 on both sides. And why is that? Because again, as you can see, what is 3 over 2 times 2 over 3? It will cancel out. It will become 1. That's why I applied this. So this can cancel out with this. That will be H will be 250, 2 over 3. As you can see, the question was asking you for the value of K, which is a rational constant. So K has to be the value of 2 over 3. So K is equal to 2 over 3. Now let's move on. Here we have justify by further differentiation to show this value of H gives the minimum area. So pretty easy. So since we know that ds by dh is equal to minus this right, so we have to find d2s by dh2. That will give you what? That will give you plus 500,000. That will be H minus 3 minus 500 H minus 3 over 2. So that also will simplify to what? That will simplify to 500,000 divided by H this minus 500 over H 3 over 2. Now we can replace to see what happens, right? So when H, the value was 250/3. What happens to this value? Let's find out. So 250 power 2 divided by 3 should be this. So first thing we have 500,000 divided by the answer power 3 minus 500 divided by the answer power 3/2. That will give you a positive value of 6. Now, as you can see, since it gives you a positive value, we can write down since d2s by dh2 is more than 0, we confirm that the stationary point or the stationary value is a minimum value. Okay, so that was the last question of this paper. I hope that was somewhat helpful. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you soon.